This is part 2 of looking at this paper on stability and transmissibility of COVID in the environment, and picking up where we left off. So looking at COVID in clinical settings, so this is like hospitals. In Singapore, over 50% of rooms were found to have at least one contaminated environmental surface, and this is a high-touch surface contamination, which was found in 10 to 15 patient rooms during the first week of their illness. And a similar finding was in Toronto, where surface samples in patient rooms were positive for COVID. This was 57%, so 42 out of 74. And in another study, swabs were taken from hospital air exhaust outlets, which yielded positive test results suggesting that these COVID droplets may be displaced by airflows and then deposited on equipment such as vents. This big finding is that the vents in hospitals need to be changed regularly, or else you're just going to be transmitting airborne COVID throughout the building. And in outpatient health facilities, COVID has been found on surfaces such as dental chairs, sinks, keyboards, ophthalmoscopes, lab equipment, door handles, and these are just places with greater contact. These had higher positivity rates of COVID. This has also been seen in toilet bowls and sink samples, so make sure you're cleaning your toilet bowls and sink samples if you have a person infected with COVID in your household. And it's suggesting possible viral shedding in stool, but we definitively know that COVID sheds in the stool. That's why we have wastewater testing. Other places we've been able to detect COVID RNA include playgrounds, supermarkets, cruise ships, public transport vehicles. These are buses and trains and things like that, subways, tourist recreational facilities, retail stores, and workplaces. So be careful with cold foods, especially sushi. So sushi is something that is very labor intensive, so this has a lot of hand contact with it. So seafood processing and food manufacturing plants like slaughterhouses too have had high COVID infection rates. And crazily, the contamination of imported seafood was about 11% or 12%. 106 out of 919 samples were positive for COVID.